What's up, everybody? This is Anthony from UCC Magazine, Urban Christian Culture Magazine, and I have JIN in the house with me. Say what's up, JIN.
What's going on, everybody out there? Thank you for having me. Thank you, Anthony, for having me, man.
Appreciate it. Now, a segue, just before we just got started, there was a young gentleman who just came up, and he's 18, and he was talking about when you were on 106 in Park and all those. He must have been 6 by then.
I told him the math, yes. Yeah. You were 6. What were you doing watching BET? But, yeah, man, I'm just grateful, man. Like, God is really good, and sometimes it might not be how we see it right away, and the things that happen in our lives, we're so quick to assume that it was bad and this was a setback, but that right there, with that young man coming up to me, the way he did and sharing what he did, to me is just one more indication of how sometimes the worst things that we look at that happen in our lives, in our careers, in our journeys, were for the best in the end. And that's right here, right? Because it took my career kind of coming to a certain standstill, or what I thought was like negative, to bring me to where I'm at right now. And yeah, that young man definitely blessed me with that.
What do you think about that? You know, Christian hip hop becoming commercial, you know.
Not to stray too far away from the point I made, a moment ago. I think it's similar. I think just as humans, we're so quick to kind of use our own wisdom to look at things and say, man, what that guy is doing is all wrong, right? Sometimes it's even with good intentions, right? And sometimes, for as it pertains to this topic and the Christian hip-hop genre or community, I know sometimes I'm hesitant to even call it a genre, because to me it's so much more than a genre of music. We're talking about souls being saved through these music. See, this is the thing too, I need to check myself. We're so quick to say, yo, the Craze album is saving mad souls. Yo, the Craze album ain't saving mad souls, God is saving mad souls. The gospel, right? Cray and the gravity and reach, and I just use him because he's someone I listen to, and yo, he played a big impact in my coming to Christ. Because when I first came into Christ and started becoming aware of this genre of music in this community, he was one of the first that I caught wind of. Because prior to that, I didn't even know there was such a thriving, I was like, yeah, there's probably people doing Christian rap or Christian-based stuff out there, but I didn't know to what extent.
So how did you get saved? What was that moment? Tell me.
There was no moment. There was no moment. It was just a lot of grace, a lot of growth, a lot of conviction, and in that conviction, just me starting to see how patient and gracious God has been, and it was all organic. So it wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna become a Christian rapper. No, that wasn't that, not at all, right? It was, the music was so way down the line. It was more so just me opening up my heart and soul and saying, God, I need you so much. And but as it pertains to music, so as I'm growing in my faith, I'm listening to the stuff that I was listening to, the Chronic and Snoop Dogg, Gin and Juice. I'm like, what am I listening to, right? Nothing against those brothers, right? But the message of it, I was just like, this is what I was pumping into my heart and my soul. So then I'm Googling and just looking for stuff, and one of the first songs I heard was Craze. 2 songs. One was Jesus Music, riding with my top down, listening to that Jesus music, and the other one was Pray For Me, or Pray For You or Pray For Me. And those 2 songs alone turned me into a Lecrae fan. But and going back to just that brother, like, I have to check myself sometimes and say, it's not the music, it's not this rapper or this pastor. Even sometimes pastors, they get lifted up so high. Man, that pastor, his ministry, he's saving mad souls. And it's like unintentionally we shift the credit and the praise to that individual or that ministry or that record label or that artist. And we forget, no, that's God's work. Just using this young man or this pastor or this spoken word artist. So your original question about, just the commercialization of this genre in this community, I mean, I think it is something to be mindful of, but at the same time, it goes back to everything else in our lives. Just trusting that God is sovereign and being discerning, being wise about it. More reason to seek wisdom from the Spirit.
And do you have a local church that you go to?
Great question. Yeah, well, I mean, I've only recently moved back to New York because I spent several years living in China.
Oh, wow.
I was living in Hong Kong. So I moved back to New York about 2 years ago when my son was born. So these past 2 years have been kind of, in regards to finding a home church, it's been that, kind of checking out this church, checking out that church. And the place we've gone to a few times, as far as just me and my wife and my child, we never officially was like, yo, this is going to be our home church. But we went a few times and really got poured into, I think, as far as the message and the worship. And we go there now often. Hillsong.
Okay.
Yeah, Pastor Carl.
Okay.
Pastor Carl. And obviously, even that is one thing. You know, finding a home church is really about, you know, I don't want to say it's like, you know, testing out a car, but, you know, you want to find somewhere where you can receive the word.
Right.
But you don't want to be too comfortable either.
Mm-hmm.
You want to find somewhere that you will be challenged and be, you know, that you'll be able to grow in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, yo, this church is nice and comfy, so this is where I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm learning more and more the Christian life, and if we're talking about, yo, we really want to follow Christ, it's not necessarily about being comfortable.
Right.
That's a big misconception, I think.
Right. True. Well, we don't want to keep you too long because we know you got to host the show, tonight. What's the name of the show you do?
We're at True Voices right now, and I'm thankful they invited me to come perform and see some of these great spoken word artists that are going to be speaking tonight.
That was JIN with UCC Magazine, shaking up what you thought being Christian was.